Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of all persuasions. It is I, Gayla, and welcome back to Book Uncorked and Caffeinated. And we are in the new year. Yes, we are. But we still got to talk about some old things. So I did videos on what I read quarter 1, 2, and 3. And I did not complete the year because it was not completed with quarter 4. So today I am going to do quarter 4's reading. And so that's October, November, December. In October, I read 7 books. In November, I read 11 books. And in December, I actually read 15 books. And I read about 6 or 7 of those books while I was on vacation. They were novellas, but nevertheless, I read them. So that brought me up to 107 books. Yes, I read 107 books last year, and I was super happy with that. I was trying to get to 115 because the year before I did 111, which is actually my mom's birthday. So I was trying to go a little bit higher. But you know what? If you read 1 book, 2 books, no books, half a book, you read something. So let's continue on with this list. And so let's start with some Sip Coffee and Read Books Cup. This is one of my new babies. So happy about that. And then I have a video coming about bookish things I received for Christmas. But let's take a sip. This is the Cafe Cubano coffee I haven't had on screen in a long time. I haven't had it in a long time because I'm running low. So I have to pick me up some, and I have to grind the beans as well. So I was like, you know what? This is kind of a grind bean type of morning. So let's get started. And instead of using creamer, I'm now using a protein shake because I need more protein, and it's vanilla flavored. So I'm trying to put all the things together. Anywho, let's get started. I'm not going to go through all the books. I'm just going to go through my favorite books, excuse me, of the quarter. So in October, like I said, I read 7 books. The favorite of that book was The Sable Cloak, and I'll have it on screen. It is about this family in the early 1900s. They were a family that had a funeral home. But they were also, excuse me, they were also super involved in politics and had very much a lot of influence what was going on during that time in their city. And so the author, Gail Melissa Grant, is kind of has some influence of her own family history and how they had an influence on the environment that they lived in. It was a very good book. It had kind of like some mystery to it because you were always trying to figure out what was going on, who was involved. So I really enjoyed it. It's a book that I read in tandem with one another. So I did a little bit of the physical book, and I also did a little bit of the audio so I can get through it. But it was a really, really good book. It was a library book, so I had a time limit, which often I don't have because I either have it on Audible, or it's my own book. But it was really a good read, and I really enjoyed the historical aspect of it. The book, my favorite book of November, and I had to narrow this down. I read 11 books in November, but I wanted to be very intentional. I didn't want to have extra books. But the book that really took me for a loop, I had my little paper. It was The Only One Left by Riley Sagers, and that was my first read by the author. And it was about this kind of like home attendant that was given the charge of caring for this elderly lady that was accused earlier in their lives of killing their family. And so they're now in their family home being taken care of, and each home attendant would kind of be like run off. And it was said that she couldn't speak, she really was immobile. But if you read the book or you're interested in reading the book, it's a nice little mystery to find out what really happens in the end. But I was really intrigued by it. It kept me going. It kept me coming back. That book I had for like over a year, and I wanted to read it. So I'm glad I really got a chance to read it at the latter part of 2025. And then the last book, not the very last book, but one of the favorite books of December in quarter 4, I read 15 books, and I had a hard time picking out the one book, but it was Hear My Heart by Tay Monet, which is a new reader to me. It's also actually, as I look at it and think about it, all of these books were new authors to me. So Tanae Monet read, and this was a little spicy. It was a fallish book, but it was spicy. But it was about this young lady who lost her hearing when she was a young person, and she was involved with her fiance for many years, kind of like her first person, her first boyfriend, her first partner. And so she probably took a lot of things she wouldn't have taken if she had more experience. And so someone walks into her life and kind of like saw her, and not just see her, but like adapted to her ways of life. Like he learned sign language, he learned how to read her lips, he learned how to adapt to her lifestyle. And just meeting her, that was very comforting to her, because she had been with her boyfriend for several years, on top of her boyfriend's family not particularly liking her. And so that was the big thing, her them not liking her. So I can tolerate you not liking me as a person, but for my partner not to defend me to his family, that would be a big problem for me. And also, he did not learn how to sign, and so that would have been a big indicator for me. I need you to sign. I mean, she had a little bit of hearing, but as years would go on, you know, it would become less. And so she would eventually always have to sign, and he never bothered with learning how to sign. So I thought that was quite interesting, how sometimes people make themselves small or smaller to be in love with someone. And that is something I'm really not willing to do in my own personal love journey. So those were 3 books that were really intriguing in the 4th quarter. I read a lot of books the 4th quarter, but I really enjoyed those 3. It was 3 different authors, and maybe that was a reason too. I kept reading the same authors throughout the year, which is a good thing. There's some authors I will always read, but having new books, new perspective, new storylines, that was a good thing. So I'm excited about what 2026 reading journey is going to bring me. I've already read some awesome books this January. I think I'm about 5 books in. I'm thinking about some also new series to start and things of that nature. So I'm looking so forward to embarking on this year's reading journey. I don't necessarily have a reading goal, but I'm just gonna read. I'm just gonna read, and I'm gonna enjoy what I read, and I'm gonna come back and share what I read with you guys. So until then, sip some coffee, read some books, and do all the other things. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video. Deuces. Bye.